Hey everyone, this is Dating Basics, an introduction to dating that I gave at the 2024 Cache Valley Conference. My name is Sharon Collier. I am a certified life and relationship coach. I am half of the Date to Your Potential podcast team. We are on Spotify, and if you need to search for us, just search the Date to Your Potential podcast. The is important. I'm also half of the Dating You team. We actually have a class coming up September 7th. It is an interactive class and live at the Mill Creek Library. Anybody interested in that can contact me. We call it Dating You, like what's it like dating you and dating university. I am a suicide widow of 17 years. This is part of my story because my husband was bipolar and, of course, ended his life. And I put myself out in the dating world and just made a whole bunch of stupid mistakes. And they were mostly based on the way I felt about myself. I wasn't dating quality men. I wasn't picky, I guess you could say, about my choices. And I made a lot of really bad choices in dating and a bunch of bad mistakes. So around year 7, I got really angry and decided I needed to figure out why I was making all these mistakes. Literally, I was looking at red flags and thinking it must be a carnival, must be a party, right? But after researching, I definitely started making better choices in men and having better dating experiences. And people often ask me why I'm still single if I'm this awesome dating coach. And actually, before I even started the program, I had a conversation with Heavenly Father, and he let me know that dating wasn't a priority right now, and it's given me a chance to work on my career and to get programs going and the podcast, and I have really loved every second of it. Okay, myth or fact? Always be yourself. It's a myth. You want to always be your best self, or you always want to be working toward being your best self. If you are trying hard to be your best self, hopefully you'll find someone trying hard to be their best self. It's all about falling in love with yourself and sharing that love with someone who appreciates you rather than looking for love to compensate for a self-love deficit. So if you've had a deficit like this, if you've had a complicated relationship, I know most widows and widowers had a good relationship, but if you have had a complicated relationship like myself, um, it's really good to take care of the self-love deficit before you start dating. You don't need to medicate your self-love deficit with dating. It's just going to turn out bad. Okay, first thing, be in a good place with your grief. Okay, talking about a late spouse is a mood killer on a date, pretty much. Just as much as somebody divorced talking about their ex, um, especially if you're sad about it. So let's not do that. Let's be in a good place where you don't feel like you need to talk about it, maybe. Um, be in a place where you're not comparing the person to your late spouse, good things or bad things. If you remarry, most likely it's going to be somebody quite different than your first spouse, and comparing really isn't fair. Okay, breaking down and crying about your spouse or playing the victim is a turnoff. I literally started crying on a date, and he just looked at me and said, I don't know what to do with you. Anyways, and playing a victim about your situation, the death of your spouse. No one really likes to be around anybody who plays the victim. You know, it's best to keep your chin up. You know, we all know grief is difficult. And so if you're in a good place with your grief, you're not going to still be in that sad victim-like state. Not being in a good place with your grief makes you seem broken and vulnerable to scammers, also to people who would want to take advantage of you. Not all people who would want to take advantage of you are narcissists, but they're out there too. So you need to be in a good place with your grief really before you start dating and make sure that you're your most confident self. Okay, number two, living a life you love. Okay, this is really important um, because your life changes when your spouse dies, and it's the sad reality. But living a life you love looks like fulfilling hobbies and interests, goals and plans for the future, a lot of social interactions or as much social interaction as you need. Of course, our introverts aren't going to need as much of that as our extroverts. Be living a life that someone would want to jump into. If you are living a life of purpose and of fun and you are fulfilled and content, this is a life that somebody would want to jump into. You are going to be ahead of the game if you were just living this life that you love. Okay, practicing self-care. Of course, we want good hygiene and grooming. You want to be showered. You want clean clothes, clean teeth, makeup, hair, shaved, no unibrow, etc. Um, you want to look like you care about yourself. Positive self-talk. People don't think of this as self-care. Avoiding negative adjectives about yourself, even if you're joking. Um, don't say, just use little catchphrases. Oh my gosh, I'm so stupid, or oh, I'm so dumb. Okay, things like that. Even if it's just a joke and it's not constructive to living a positive life. And confidence, like who you are, and embrace that. Embrace who you are, and let yourself shine. Let the world know it. Practicing self-care is more than bubble baths. People always think that. And what people need to know about practicing self-care, that's everything you do to take care of you, to make sure that you are filled and happy. And you know what? Happiness and confidence go hand in hand, and those are the two most attractive things you can put yourself out there with. Okay, confidence is sexy. Who knows this guy? He did that selfie. I needed a picture of confidence, and he did that for me. Confidence in action. Okay, moving slowly. And this is always demonstrated. So sorry, we don't have a demonstration or a video. Move slowly. If you are nervous, move slowly. I just watched a funny film, like a reel on Facebook, and it said if you want to look busy around your office, move really fast when you go from place to place to place. It gives the air of busy. Moving slowly gives you the air of confidence. You are soaking it all in. You are um, watching, you are observing. So move slowly around the room. Think slow. If you are nervous, especially if you are nervous, think slow. Take a breath between things that you want to say because fast is busy, slow is confident. Okay, the power walk, good posture and your head held high. Good posture says a whole lot. Well, I guess that we should say slumped over posture can imply like no confidence, right? Could imply shame or someone who dislikes themselves, right? So good posture and your head held high. Embrace your individuality. You don't have to be like everybody else. If everybody was the same, the world would be boring. So embrace your individuality. And of course, smile. Smiling makes you approachable. Okay, speak your mind. You don't always have to agree with everybody. If you can give your opinion in a happy, healthy way and not aggressive, that shows so much confidence that you can have your own views and opinions. Okay, take up space with your body. Men can always do this a little better than women. Puff out your chest a little bit. You can spread your legs apart a little bit. Women, we kind of talk with our hands to make ourselves bigger. But yes, take up space with your body. Um, Project confidence. Maybe you're not feeling the most confident, but think about what a confident person looks like to you and try to do that as much as you can. Kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy or like practice makes perfect. Eventually you will come around to what that is. Okay, what is your dating plan? We want a strategy. Okay, decide what you were looking for. Are you looking for friends? You're just going to dip your toe in the social scene. You're looking to play the field, to date several people. Maybe you're looking to date exclusively. You've already dated for a minute, or you're looking to marry. Whatever it is, decide what you're looking for and go that direction. Now, of course, if you're out looking for friends and you run into somebody that you are super compatible with, that you already formed a friendship with, and you guys want to start dating, of course, we're not going to stay in the looking for friend zone, right? We are going to actually do that. But in the beginning, just kind of to make the plan, just decide, I'm going to go to social events. I'm going to actually look to date. Okay, map it out like you're setting a goal. You're going to go to social groups. You're going to go to one game night a week. Maybe you're going to go to an FHE group one night a week. Maybe you want to go to a fireside. Maybe you're not a dancer. Maybe you are. If you're a dancer, go to the dances. The best place to find people similar to you is doing what you love, the hiking groups, the dances. If you're a great dancer and you love dancing, well, hopefully you would find another great dancer at a dance. If you like hiking, you would find another hiker at a hiking group. And of course, we have online dating sites. Okay, before we get into anything else, I do want to talk about boundaries. This is the fence we build around our values. Now, as LDS people, of course, um, a lot of our value system are no-brainers because they go along with the gospel. But other things you will find as you date that your boundaries will change. Hopefully your values would get better, not worse. Like you value your body so nobody could harm it. And this is definitely not dialogue I'm asking people to use. Like you value yourself so someone can't call you names or put you down. You value your children, so maybe you're going to put a boundary around when people get to meet them. I value my relationship with Heavenly Father, so like I won't go to the car races on Sunday, or my ability to feel the Spirit, so you're not going to go to an R-rated movie. Whatever your core values are, this is how you protect them. Um, Boundaries are only boundaries if you stick to them. Otherwise, they're only words. There's people out there that would um, get you to try to bend your boundaries for them, sometimes just to see if you will. And if you do once, they're going to expect you to do that many, many more times. Okay, this is what I call name that boundary because I've actually named the boundaries just to kind of give you an idea. The straightforward boundary, I don't do that, or you don't do that to me. Just straightforward, nope, I don't do that, or I don't talk like that, or I don't chat with people who talk like that. If you do online dating, maybe you already know things like this. The nice boundary, I would love to see a movie with you, but can you pick a different one? I don't watch R-rated movies. That's a pleasant way to say I don't watch rated R movies, or I'm not going to go to a rated R movie with you. The no explanation boundary. I don't need to justify that to you, or I already said no. Now, this one, of course, we can use with our kids, but there are dating situations where you're just going to have to say no and mean it. Like you don't need to explain it. It's your boundary. The explanation boundary, however, is kind of nice. Um, that doesn't fit with my value system, or something like my kids really got attached to the last guy I dated, so I prefer not to introduce you to them until we're more serious. Um, so this is kind of a more explanation boundary, which is nice, a nice way to put it. The consequence boundary. If you don't stop yelling, I'm leaving, or if this happens again, I can't date you anymore. I had to tell a guy, if you say that again, I'm not chatting with you anymore. And he kept saying, the word again, and I finally just told him I'm not chatting with you anymore and we can't go out. And he was really disappointed, but I asked him several times to stop and he wouldn't. Okay, the it's never too late boundary, or I call it the I should have said something sooner boundary. I should have said something sooner, but can you not tell jokes at my expense in front of your family? I felt so stupid. Okay, it's never too late to set a boundary. Hey, this has happened several times, and I need you to know that that really hurts my feelings. Um, that's crossing a boundary. So hopefully everybody understands boundaries. Boundaries are super important when you're dating. Um, it really shows, honestly, how much somebody cares for you. So moving on. Why do I have all these feelings? Okay, dating science. This was something that really was helpful for me in my journey. Attraction, attachment, infatuation, and love. Do you know the difference? I love our love chemicals. I love talking about them. I love exploring them. Attraction. Okay, this is our pheromonal response. Now, pheromones, they say it's kind of like somebody's invisible smell. Like it goes up through your nose and your body has a reaction to it. So a pheromonal response, I always use like the scale of 1 to 100. Of course, if you meet somebody that's a 100, that is a very strong physical attraction. I'm going to put that up there. Physical chemistry. It's very, very strong. But there's some members of the opposite sex that you would not be super attracted to. Maybe they're attractive, but they just you don't have that response to. So maybe on a scale of 1 to 100, they'd be like a 10 or a 20. It's like, sure, they're attractive, but you're really not attracted to them. And you know what? We really do need to be attracted to our partner, right? Okay, attraction, a very strong attraction. A 100 can be mistaken for love. So it's very important. You get two people with a very strong physical attraction, and they think they have this wonderful connection. We felt this connection immediately, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are right for each other. It just means they have a super strong pheromonal response. Of course, there's other ways we can be attracted to people. There's spiritually attractive, somebody who's on the same wavelength or loves the same spiritual talk or talk about scriptures. Emotionally attractive, where you really, you can talk about emotional things. Um, Emotionally attractive, you would be attracted to how they take things emotionally, or you would be similar in that area. Of course, mentally attractive is being attracted to somebody's intellect. If you like my type would be more nerdy, I would like somebody. But hopefully, a lot of these things are going on. You're having several different types of attraction going on. Of course, visually pleasing, nobody wakes up in the morning and thinks, I want to date somebody not attractive, right? Um, but hopefully, a lot of these things are going on. If somebody is visually pleasing and emotionally attractive to you, or maybe they're mentally stimulating, but you don't really have any physical chemistry, this is friend zone stuff, right? So you want things from both sides. You want the pheromonal response along with maybe emotionally attractive and mentally attractive. You want a good combination of all these, if not all of them. But we need to be careful with attraction because, like I said, it can feel like this super strong connection. I just felt this big, strong connection when you maybe really didn't. It was just this physical response. So we need to be careful with it. Attachment. This is our oxytocin and dopamine. Nursing moms spew oxytocin. It's happy. It's a happy hormone. This bonds them to babies. A lot of nursing moms get happy while they nurse. Um, but it's also, they call it the hug hormone or the touch hormone, because when you are physically affectionate with people, you start producing oxytocin and it makes you feel very attached. It's a good attachment hormone. Dopamine, same thing. Dopamine plays a huge part in attachment. This is why people get addicted to love. Dopamine actually stimulates the same part of your brain as like crack cocaine, dopamine. Um, People get very attached to other people. I have women, I've only ever had one man in all the years I've been coaching, but mostly women reach out to me and tell me about the abusive situation they're in, and I say, you leave. You need to leave that situation. You need to block this person. You need to put up boundaries. They cannot see you. And they'll tell me they're not ready to do that yet because they're in love with them. Well, love is reciprocal, first of all. If they are in love, that would mean that it would be a reciprocal thing. And they're not in love. Most of the time, they're just really attached to this person. And um, they think it is love. They've invested a lot of time, they've been physical with them. Um, but it isn't love. They're just very, very, very attached. And people will say, well, how do I know if I'm in love with someone or really attached? Well, love is good, and a lot of times they're attached to behaviors that to someone whose behavior isn't good, and that would not really be love because when you think about love, um, it's all beautiful things, right? Okay, once again, attachment feels like love. It's be very, very, very careful um, with this. Okay, infatuation. There is an infatuation period in most relationships. That's the really exciting rose-colored glasses phase. A lot of people say, after the 4 to 5 months, um, they could start seeing where their partner's flaws were. They were there the whole time, but they didn't really start seeing them until after this 4 to 5 month period. Infatuation is good. You want to be excited about somebody, but a lot of times it dies off. It just changes. So if it changes and the relationship is built on a good foundation, you will probably stay in that relationship. But sometimes that's all there is this excitement and attraction. There's attachment, and it will die off. I did this in high school. I had about a 4 month capacity for most of the boys I dated, and then all of a sudden I would think, you always chewed that loud, or have you always smelt like that? Is that your feet? What is that? And it's like a hormone drop, and feelings can change. And a lot of times, people get really infatuated because of extreme loneliness. We need to make sure that we're living this life that we love, that we're doing things that satisfy us, and we're not desperate because when we need attention, when we need somebody to fill our bucket, a lot of times we can get infatuated. We can get infatuated from a self-love deficit, actually, as well as just extreme loneliness. So it's super important to know about this because if your feelings just kind of start dying off all of a sudden, it was probably just a big, just infatuation. Okay, love, attraction, attachment, admiration. Can you say what you admire about this person? Hopefully, there's this huge list. What do you admire about them? Oh, I admire their work ethic. I admire their compassion. There should be a huge list. Admiration, that is part of love. Respect, support, and of course, effort. We need to be with somebody where the effort is equal and reciprocal. That would be love because love is reciprocal. It's not put downs and insults and fighting. It's not those things. I mean, you know, you can fight and be in love, but love is beautiful and tender and sweet, and it isn't abusive. Okay, how do I put all this together? I call it Sharon's Big C's of relationships. I thought that was cute and clever back in the beginning. We just kind of kept it that way. Chemistry, that's our initial attraction. Very important that we have physical attraction, right? Connection. This is in order. The order of this is important in most cases here. Things in common. This is your connection. This is more than just physical. This is your religion, your hobbies, your life goals. Are you going in the same direction in life? Maybe views on raising kids, maybe even financial. This is things in common. This is what I call connection. When people say, oh, I felt this strong connection to this guy or this girl, a lot of times it's physical. No, we actually want things in common. Then we can get into contact. Make sure there is a good foundation of friendship and that these things in common before we get into kissing, because we know we start spewing these great hormones and they can be confused for love. If you start kissing early in a relationship, a lot of times it is confusing. Is it chemicals or is it real feelings? And who wants to be confused that way? Okay, conflict resolution and communication. How well do you work through problems and can you handle it? Now I've put this here. This can go anywhere in a relationship. Um, but most of the time people don't even know what they'd fight about, right? They're in this relationship, things are going well. They sit around and make schmoopy faces at each other all day and they think, what on earth would we fight about? It's really, really important to um, at least talk about how you're going to resolve conflicts. But it would be nice as couples while you're dating to be able to work through something difficult just to see how the other person handles it. And this is where time's coming in, and I will talk about that in a minute. Okay, and then we get into commitment and engagement or a marriage. We need to gather lots of information, of course, before we do that, but the conflict resolution and communication, um, really, really important. There's some people who just brush things under the rug, um, that just don't want any conflict and don't want to talk through things, and you really do need to know their communication style before you marry them. Okay, red flags. General red flags. Okay, we know lying, cheating, disrespectful behavior, lazy. People don't really think of lazy and no compatibility as a red flag, but you got to know you marry who you date. And if these are things when you're dating, this is going to be something in your marriage. Okay, no job or plan for the future. Once again, do we think of those as red flags? You need to. And you find yourself always complaining. This is big. If you're always complaining about the relationship, if you're always confused about the relationship, this is red flags. This is probably do not proceed because you're not resolving things, you're just complaining about things, and that means that there's issues. Okay, a low investment level. This is not necessarily a person that you break up with. This is just a person that you kind of just casually date, okay? You feel like you're putting more into the relationship than they are. Okay, once again, we want a reciprocal relationship. You feel like the backup plan, not the plan. Yeah, I'm hanging out with my family this weekend. If we don't do anything great, I'll call you. Okay, you're the backup plan. Frequent canceling, they're just not that invested. Little to no communication throughout the day. People make time for what they want to do, and who doesn't have 30 seconds to return a text? Won't introduce you to family or friends. Once again, they're just not that invested. They treat you like a dying plant. You only get watered when you're drooping. When they think you might be leaving, they give you some attention. Okay, once again, we do not invest in this person. Even if you are crushing really hard, you're having a big old crush on this person, you don't wait around for this person. You don't tell them, I've heard this so many times, well, you can date other people, but I'm not going to date other people. No, if somebody is not invested in you, do not invest in them. Once again, you can casually date them, but do not try to commit to them if they are not being reciprocal in the relationship. Okay, serious red flags. Somebody who tries to rush into the relationship. Nobody needs to rush you into anything at any time. Somebody that will seclude you from family and friends. They will seclude you because you might have the rose-colored glasses on, but your family and friends don't. So this would be a person that's trying to put something over on you. Will be super charming one minute and then mean the next. This is the person that's maybe mean to the wait staff or mean to the grocery store clerk. Eventually, that meanness is going to come around to you. Make no mistake, it 100% will. Will turn things around so it appears to be your fault. We know that's gaslighting. Will try to knock you down a few notches if you're succeeding. Very few people will do this while you're dating. So if it is something while you're dating, um, then you need to be aware that this is a big red flag. Somebody who can't celebrate your successes with you, same thing, same idea. You need somebody who's going to support you in your goals and dreams and not be trying to knock you down. Will manipulate you to stretch your boundaries. We talked about this a second ago. sometimes somebody will just try to get you to stretch your boundaries just to see if you can. But you want somebody who's going to honor your boundaries. And that really shows some deep respect if they can honor your boundaries instead of be stretching them. Will give you a really good apology, but their behavior doesn't change. Or a lot of people try to change, and maybe they can change for a couple weeks, but that's it, 2 to 3 weeks, and then their behavior starts going back to exactly the same. Now, if somebody's on a journey and they're trying to change a lot of things, that's a completely different story, but most of the time, people just really don't change. They will make you question yourself or not like yourself. Maybe you're questioning yourself. Am I crazy? They just said I was crazy. Am I crazy? Are they making me crazy? Or just you don't like yourself when you're around them. That is something to really consider and look at. Okay, let's talk about the scammer. Widows and widowers are targets for the scammer. Once again, they will want to rush into a relationship. Nobody needs to hurry things along. They might say, I love you too soon, even before you meet in person. Okay, you don't fall in love with a person over the phone. You can be super excited about a person over the phone, but you don't even know if you have physical chemistry, honestly. Um, you might love the things you talk about. You might love um, the excitement of knowing you have a phone call and somebody to talk to, the lack of loneliness. You might love all that stuff, but you need to meet somebody in person before you actually are in love with them. We'll ask you to keep the relationship a secret. Of course, this goes back to the rose-colored glasses. Other people don't have those on, just you, so they know that. So keeping the relationship a secret is a red flag. We'll ask you for money. I just need to tell everybody, money does not need to be um, discussed at all. It just needs to stay out of the whole dating thing until you're starting to get serious. Okay, nobody needs to know anything about your money situation. If somebody's asking you for money so that they can come see you or they're having an emergency, no, they need to go to their family, they need to go to the bishop. No, you do not do money with anybody. Will give you lots of personal information about themselves in hopes that you will spill a bunch of personal information about yourself. Okay, people like to talk about themselves and scammers know it, so they will dump a lot of personal information and then say, what about you? So you can dump. I actually dated a guy early on who got me to tell him my mother's maiden name, the street I grew up on, all sorts of security questions in general conversation. He was just asking just general questions and I was spilling, and then I thought about it later that evening and went, oh my gosh, he got me to spill all that stuff. So I changed all my passwords and kind of confronted him about it. And it turned out he did have a criminal record and he ran eBay scams. So you just got to be careful. You don't need to spill a whole bunch of information about yourself early on in a relationship. They will be charming and give you an abnormal amount of compliments. They are predators who prey on the weak, and if they start giving you compliments and you start loving that, they will give you more. And sometimes they're not even true. You know yourself. If you're getting compliments that aren't true about you, or they're telling you they can tell things about you that you can't even see, no, most likely a scammer. They're usually too good to be true. Okay, nobody is too good to be true. You're going to find all sorts of flaws. Part of the dating process is deciding if you can handle the flaws. Nobody's perfect. Okay, and usually military, they work on an oil rig. It's a widower with a little girl. It's a widower with a dog. Um, People who work on an oil rig generally aren't trying to date. Just FYI, because they work out in the middle of the ocean and dating is hard. So just be careful of those types. Okay, I asked right before my very first conference, geez, 5, 6 years ago, the widows and widowers who had been married and divorced. I asked them about some of the dating red flags, and this is what they told me. They didn't take enough time to really get to know the other person. They got caught up in all the excitement and the thrills, and they didn't really um, ask the questions, the hard questions. And the hard questions are important. And I have to tell you, once you start kissing a lot and making out, communication kind of stops. So get to know the other person. Take the time to really get to know them. They didn't take enough time to get to know the kids. I know there's a lot of blending problems. They didn't take time letting the kids get to know each other. Once again, a blending problem. They didn't take enough time with a long distance relationship. Now, long distance relationships, it is super important you just don't go for fun weekends, that you spend like an entire week, that you see them send their kids off to school. You see them react to a bad report card or a project they didn't know about that is due tomorrow. It's super important you see their housekeeping skills. How do they keep the house, the yard. It's super important to see them in all situations that you don't normally get to see if you lived 20 minutes away. So take your time with long distance relationships. They didn't listen to the friends and family, also the kids who didn't like their spouse. When people were warning them not to date or marry this person, they did not listen and regretted it. They picked the first person that was interested in them because they didn't think somebody else would come along. They were lonely, somebody came along, all of a sudden they were happy, and the thought of nobody else coming along was sad because they were so happy. We all know what it feels like to be widowed, and a lot of us know what it's like to start dating somebody, and it is very exciting and hopeful that, we're not going to always feel so lonely. Like this, they picked the first person because they were excited not to be lonely anymore. Just be careful. Um, Someone married somebody, actually, probably a couple people married someone who was unemployed and never wanted to get a job. And they targeted a widow because they had life insurance. So it's just super, super important that we take our time to get to know people. And I think not having a job is a red flag for sure. Okay, didn't check the criminal record. There's so many ways to Google people anymore. I know somebody who paid $49, and maybe it's more now, for a whole year of background checks, and they could background check every single person they dated. Um, my sister-in-law used to work for the police department and had connections there, and she used to background check guys that she was dating. So, yeah, it's important not to be dating a felon, right? Okay. When you are looking through rose-colored glasses, red flags just look like regular flags. I wish I knew who said that. That wasn't me, but it's pretty brilliant. Okay, we just want to be careful and take our time. Like here. I recommend all four seasons of a road trip. I never said that. I mean, I do say that. I recommend that, but that's not my quote. I think it's in the love languages book, but very important. You need time to identify red flags, um, time to go through a struggle or resolve an issue, um, time to figure out triggers and how they handle them. Your triggers and their triggers. Sometimes your behavior might trigger something in them that makes them show their bad behavior. And so it's important, or maybe somebody triggers you in a way that you didn't realize that you're triggered. We need time to figure those out. Those are important. Those are huge in marriages and in conflict, and it's important to know what they are. Okay, time to see them in their natural life. See their spending and saving habits. If you can't find anything wrong with the person, maybe wait around until you can. Then decide if you can deal with it. Okay, once again, nobody is perfect. Nobody's perfect. Maybe somebody's perfect for you, but guess what? They're still going to have flaws. It's just our human experience. Okay, flirting. Excuse me, I seem to have lost my phone number. Can you give me yours? Who could really do that? I bet some of you can pull it off. Okay, tips for flirting. Open body language. Okay, do not cross your arms. Do not be closed off. Face them. Open up your body language or open up your body, your arms not crossed, things like that. Okay, compliments, touching. And you'll want to combine these. If you really want to send a really good signal, start combining these. Humor and teasing. Be careful with teasing that it's not insulting, but everybody likes to be teased. Of course, eye contact. Eye contact is going to get you really far, and there's a lot of things you can do with your eyes. Smiling. Of course, we want to look friendly and approachable. Asking get to know you questions. Hey, where are you from? How long have you known the host to this party? What kind of music do you listen to? Things that might you might find compatibilities with yourself. Or just telling them what you want. You're fun. We should go out sometime. Okay. And then the last one, ladies, if you want to give the ultimate green light, ask a guy out. Okay, some people will say I would never ever ever ask a guy out, and there's some guys who would say I'd never accept a date, but hardly any. Um, if you ask a guy out though, go out on the date, plan a date, um, plan on paying for the date, although I would think most men would not let you, but plan on paying for it. And then put the ball in their court because the guy needs to be the guy and you need to be the girl. So ask a guy out once, go on a date once, and then let them know I would love to do this again, but I'm going to let you ask me out. The guy needs to be the guy. Okay, where do you find people to date? Dances, social activities, hiking groups, barbecues. Some people take advantage of all of these. If you live in Utah, there's always a party or something going on. Hobbies, doing things you love. Like say you like to go to the equestrian place. Wouldn't it be cool to find somebody else who likes horseback riding, right? Networking, tell your friends and family, your ward members that you are looking, but don't just say I'm looking for somebody single. Give them some criteria and not physical things. Wouldn't it be cool if, um, it's like they need to be a member of the church and they need to like hiking? Give them some criteria. Or if the person knows you, they're going to already know what you like, you know. If you're an Italian food connoisseur, you know, maybe they can find somebody who loves Italian food like you. But just go with a couple things so that you're not just going out and dating anybody because you can do that yourself, right? But if you're networking and your family and friends have their eye out for somebody in specific, that always is helpful. Okay, and of course, online dating sites. Okay, how to get a date. People ask me this frequently. You're in person. You want to meet somebody in person. I prefer to meet people in person than online. You get a good sense of who they are in person, but you have to put yourself out there. Don't think somebody's going to come knocking at your door. You have to put yourself out there. Okay, then you need to meet them. You see somebody interesting across the room, or you've talked to somebody. Um, in a group setting, well, you need to go meet them and flirt with them and give them a green light. Of course, exchange phone numbers and actually talk on the phone and then set up a date. It sounds really easy. It should be easy if it's your person, right? But it's just some skills that need practice. Okay, online, how to get a date. You set up a profile. Um, you chat online and then you take it to the phone or FaceTime. Okay, this is going to save somebody lots of time and money because once you start chatting in person, like on the phone or on FaceTime, you get a really good sense of who a person is and if you want to go out with them or not. So then you can set up a date if you actually do want to do that after chatting. Okay, online dating safety. Never give out any personal information. This goes back to the money thing. Nobody needs to know any of your personal financial things, your social security number, banking info, monthly income even. Nobody needs to know that. Okay, never loan anybody money or transfer money for someone else. If somebody gives you money to transfer, that's literally money laundering and that's a felony. You don't want to go there. Once again, no money in dating. Always meet up at a central location around other people. Can we say well-lit area if it's nighttime? And let somebody know where you are. And if you change locations, let them know that too. Okay, you do not even have to give out your last name unless you want to. Okay, you just don't. People can stalk you on social media. Um, so if you don't want to give out your last name, do not. And do not post pictures of your children. There are pedophiles out there that have never been caught, and you don't want to expose your children to that. And there's pedophiles that are still online even though they have a record, which is why it's good to be able to do background checks or to Google somebody. Okay, creating an online profile. So the way we describe ourselves is important. Okay, don't state the obvious. I love to laugh. I mean, yeah. Or you love your kids. If you have a limited amount of characters, don't do this. I've been hurt by love. Yeah, wah. Everybody's been hurt by love. Don't false advertise. That's old pictures or filtered pictures. That's really dishonest. False hobbies and interests. If you think you're going to maybe attract a man, ladies, by saying you love camping or fishing and you don't do that. Don't do that. It's just best to be honest. You don't have to cover up any dishonesties if you're just honest from the beginning, from the get-go. Do not exaggerate your employee status. Like maybe saying you have a job when you don't. I always found it interesting that unemployed people called themselves entrepreneurs. I dated one guy who called himself a general contractor and he was an unemployed construction worker. So do not exaggerate those, or your height or your weight, or your age. Okay, I mean the truth comes out and that's embarrassing. Just be honest. Just be honest. That's all. Okay, describing yourself. I know like Match.com has the little area for a paragraph. I'm fun-loving, smart, energetic, loyal, adventurous, and I'm always game to learn new things. I love a walk in the park or a ride up the canyon. Okay, this is paragraph form. I always say I'm trying to figure out something to say that doesn't make me sound like my golden retriever, right? Because I just described Sadie, my dog. Okay, you want to be more interesting than your dog. So this is how I would uh, recommend you use humor. Keep it short. Nobody wants to read through paragraph after paragraph. Use a little mystery to promote questions like this. I'm a California girl living in Utah. There's so many questions that can come out of that. Or would I say I'm originally from Thousand Oaks, California, but I've lived in Utah since I was 18 years old? No, keep it short. And then there's questions in there. Okay, so this is how I would set up a profile. You don't necessarily need to do bullet points. You could do a poem, you could do whatever, but it's not a paragraph. And this is really easy to read. So I didn't just go through and go, I love Diet Coke and I love dogs and I love Jesus. Okay, I tried to be a little clever, right? I love to cook dinner, but I don't love to clean up after. Um, Pickleball. I'm a California girl living in Utah. Diet Coke forever. Everybody always tells me after a conference, that's toxic and it's going to kill me. Yes, I know. Anyway, so I try to be clever and set it up this way. And then people can ask questions. I'm an empty nester most of the time because somebody's always between apartments and they have to stay with me for 2 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever. They can ask, oh, what kind of dogs do you have? Or whatever kind of questions based on that. But it's easy to see who's compatible with me if I put it this way. Oh, I'm an empty nester. Oh my gosh, I love a good road trip. Let's go get a Diet Coke and go on a road trip. Um, So it's just easier to lay it out that way. And there's a million questions you can ask, and it's your whole life story isn't on your online dating profile. Okay, pictures say 1,000 words. Do I need to say I'm fun and adventurous if I post these pictures? Nope. Okay, bad pictures. We all joke about the gym selfie and the filtered um, pictures. So we don't, those are bad pictures. We don't want to post those. You want to be confident in your pictures. Now, I tell men all the time, you know what? There's something about a man in a suit, but literally your picture can be bad of yourself in a suit. Jeff, of course, portrays it nicely, but try to show confidence in your pictures. Remember the good posture. Okay, basic dating practices. Okay, ask somebody out on a date, not a hangout. Okay, don't make somebody question. We're in this world now of singles, and there's a lot of guy friends and girlfriends. Don't make somebody question if you're going to hang out or if it's actually a date. Hey, can I take you out on a date? I thought we'd go miniature golfing and then to dinner. Okay, plan a specific date and let your date know so they can dress appropriately. And then dress appropriately. Ladies, I don't care how beautiful your new stilettos are, do not wear them miniature golfing. Okay, dress appropriately for the occasion. Ask your date questions, don't just talk about yourself. I know nerves can take over and you have all the stuff in your head that you want to tell the person. Ask your date questions, don't just talk about yourself. Every time I go on a date where the person just talks about themselves the whole time and never asks me anything, I just write them off. I don't even go out with them again. Have conversation ideas in the back of your pocket, or you can always say, "What do you want to talk about now?" The conversation lulls, but you can have ideas, and kind of in the back of your brain. Okay, remember to have fun. Plan a fun date. Have a fun date. Okay, the first couple dates should be just be all about having fun together and connecting. Okay, in conclusion, find the adventure in dating. If you make it a chore, it's going to be a chore. Nobody likes chores. Have fun. Don't take yourself too seriously. If you make a mistake, come on, we all do it. Okay, learn from your mistakes. Like maybe don't say that on your next date if you said something embarrassing. Okay, where to find me? I'm on Facebook, Dating Again. I'm on Instagram, which be dating dot again. I'm on the Date to Your Potential podcast. Um, and my website is lovingagaincoach.com. And of course, my podcast is on Spotify if you are looking for that. Thank you guys so much for watching today.